Good morning, students. What is the effect of temperature on conductors and semiconductors? How a gas lighter works? What is the substance present in photovoltaic cells? To answer these questions, we have to learn about electrical properties of solids. So, today's topic is electrical properties of solids. Good morning, students. Today we are going to learn about electrical properties of solids. Based on electrical conductivity, solids are classified into three types. They are insulators, semiconductors, and conductors. Insulators are non-conductors or they have a negligible conductivity. They have a conductivity order of the range 10 to the power minus 10 to 10 to the power minus 20 Siemens meter inverse. They are poor conductors or non-conductors because of the absence of free electrons or free ions. They have neither free electrons nor free ions, so that is why they are not able to conduct electricity. The examples for the insulators are diamond, plastic, wool, right? So these are some of the examples. And coming to the second category, they are semiconductors. Semiconductors have a less conductivity. Neither they are non-conductors like the insulators nor they are good conductors like metallic conductors. Okay, so their conductivity lies in between insulators and metallic conductors, and they have the conductivity order of the range 10 to the power minus 6 to 10 to the power 4 Siemens meter inverse. Okay, so we have different examples for semiconductors like silicon and germanium, right? The third type are conductors. Okay, they are good conductors and they have high conductivity range of the order 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 7 Siemens meter inverse. And as we are talking about solids, here the metals are the examples for this type of substances. Okay, metals are good conductors of electricity because they have free electrons, and these free electrons move freely in the lattice spaces created by the metal atoms. So that is why they are good conductors of electricity. Okay, so the examples for metallic conductors are copper, silver, gold, aluminum, like that we have different examples. Okay, now we'll see in detail about the conductivity in semiconductors. Semiconductors are not very good conductors like metals, but their conductivity can be increased. So how do you increase the conductivity? The conductivity can be increased by rising the temperature or by the addition of some impurities. When temperature is increased, the conductivity of semiconductors increases because there is energy difference between valence band and conduction band in case of semiconductors. In case of metals, it is very less, or the valence band almost overlaps with the conduction band, so that what happens, electrons can move freely. So they are very good conductors. And in case of semiconductors, there is energy difference, but it is less. So that if you raise the temperatures, electrons enter from valence band to conduction band. Okay. As they enter from valence band to conduction band, they can move freely, so that the conductivity increases. Okay. So as temperature increases, the conductivity increases in case of semiconductors, but it increases slightly. So that is why you can increase the conductivity by the addition of some external substances. Okay. So this process of addition of an impurity to increase the conductivity is known as doping, right? So by the addition of impurity, also you can increase the conductivity of a conductor. The process of addition of impurities to a semiconductor to increase the conductivity is known as doping. And the substance which is added to the semiconductor to increase the conductivity is known as dopant. Dopant is nothing but the impurity that is added to the semiconductor. The conductivity of semiconductors like silicon and germanium can be increased by the addition of some impurities like aluminum, phosphorus, arsenic, boron, like this, right? So these are some of the substances which are added to the semiconductors to increase the conductivity. Okay, so usually these substances are either electron rich substances or electron deficient substances. Either they have more number of electrons than the semiconductors or less number of electrons than the semiconductors, right? So based on this we have different types of semiconductors, right? So we'll see the different types of semiconductors which are formed by the addition of electron rich dopants and electron deficient dopants. Now we'll see the doping of a semiconductor by using electron rich impurity. For example, a group 14 element is doped with a group 15 element. Then the conductivity will be increased. What is the electronic configuration of group 14 elements? For group 14, the electronic configuration is ns2 np2. Outermost s orbital contains 2 electrons and p orbital contains 2 electrons. In total 4 valence electrons are there. Suppose this is doped with group 15 element, then the conductivity will be increased. Group 15 elements have this configuration ns2 np3. Outermost s orbital containing 2 electrons, p orbital containing 3 electrons. In total 5 electrons are there. So that means group 15 elements contain more number of electrons in the valence shell when compared to group 14 elements. So they are electron rich species. Okay. So when you add a group 15 element to group 14 element, what happens? One extra electron will be there, so that the conductivity will be increased. Okay. For example, I'll take silicon. Okay. Let us see how the conductivity of silicon is increased by the addition of a group 15 dopant like arsenic or phosphorus. So here is the crystal structure of silicon. Okay. Silicon has 4 valence electrons, so it forms 4 bonds with adjacent atoms like this, right? So each silicon is surrounded by 4 silicon atoms like this, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So it is forming 4 bonds. It is forming 4 bonds, 1, 2, 3, 4. Or there are 4 pairs in the valence shell of silicon. Now suppose if it is doped with a group 15 element or a electron rich species like phosphorus and arsenic, what happens? Some of these atoms will be replaced by the impurities or dopants. Okay. Suppose if this silicon atom is replaced by arsenic atom, then what happens? Again silicon will form 4 bonds, but the valence electrons of arsenic are 5. Okay, so arsenic have 5 electrons here, out of which 4 electrons are utilized and 1 electron will be left. Okay, So there is one free electron. Okay, so it is sharing 4 pairs of electrons, but one electron of arsenic is left. Okay, so this is the electron of arsenic which is left free. Now this electron is delocalized. Okay, this is not involved in bond formation and it can move freely in the lattice spaces. Okay, so the conductivity is increased. So here the increase in conductivity is due to the free electron or negative charge. Okay, so this type of semiconductors are known as N type of semiconductors. Okay, by using electron rich impurity or electron rich dopant, you will get N type of semiconductor or negative type of semiconductor, because here the increase in conductivity is due to free electron that is not involved in bond formation or delocalized electron. Now we will see the doping of a semiconductor with electron deficient element. Here the dopant has less number of electrons when compared to the semiconductor, right? For example, take group 14. Group 14 elements have the configuration Ns2, Np2, or they have 4 electrons in the valence shell. They have 4 electrons in the valence shell, and now it is doped with the element which contains less number of electrons than the semiconductor. Okay, so I'll take a group 13 element. Group 13 element has less number of electrons. What is the electronic configuration? The electronic configuration is Ns2, Np1. Outermost s orbital contains 2 electrons and p orbital 1 electron. So in total 3 electrons are there. So that means this element has less number of electrons when compared to the semiconductor. So semiconductor has more number of electrons. Okay, so here also the conductivity increases. Let us see how. We'll take the silicon once again as a semiconductor, and silicon, as you know, this is a group 14 element which contains 4 electrons in the valence shell. So each silicon atom is linked to 4 other silicon atoms, right? So there are 4 silicon atoms around each silicon. Okay, or it is forming 4 bonds. Each silicon is forming 4 bonds, or there are 4 pairs in the valence shell of silicon. Now I am replacing one of these silicon atoms with group 13 element. Okay, here we are doping with an electron deficient element. So I will use a group 13 element like aluminum. So if you take aluminum, how many electrons will be there? There are 3 electrons. So aluminum can form only 3 bonds, right? Aluminum can form only 3 bonds, and one of the electrons of silicon will be there here. Okay, silicon has 4 electrons, and out of which 3 electrons are utilized for bond formation, and one more electron is left here. On the other hand, aluminum is forming 3 bonds, okay, by using 3 valence electrons, and here there is no electron for formation of bond, or there is a hole like this. Okay, there is a hole left here because sufficient electrons are not there. Okay, now this hole is equivalent to a positive charge. Okay, there is electron deficiency, and if you consider the electron as negative charge, the hole can be considered as a positive charge. Now this electron can be exchanged with the hole, right? Okay, so electron can be exchanged with the hole when this semiconductor is subjected to an electric field. Suppose it is subjected to an electric field, what happens? Okay, let us say this is negative, this is positive charge. So if electron is exchanged with hole, what happens? Electron moves in this direction, hole comes in this direction. Okay, Similarly, again the hole is exchanged with the electron present here. Okay, so that what happens, the hole moves in this direction and electron moves in this direction. Actually it is the electron that is moving in the direction of positive plate, but it appears as if the hole is moving in opposite direction, that is towards the negative plate. Okay, so negative charge moves in this direction or electron moves in this direction, but it appears as if the positive charge is moving in this direction. Okay, so that is why this type of conductor is known as P type of conductor. P stands for positive. Okay, it is known as a positive type of conductor because the hole appears to be moving in the direction of negative plate, or positive charge is appearing to be moving in the direction of negative plate. So that is why it is known as P type. Okay. So doping of a semiconductor with electron deficient element results in the formation of P type of semiconductor. Now to summarize, doping of a semiconductor with electron rich dopant results in the formation of N type of semiconductor, and doping a semiconductor with electron deficient dopant results in the formation of P type of semiconductor. Not only group 14 elements, we can dope other group elements like group 12 or 13 with group 15 or 16 elements like this. Okay, here indium is doped with antimony, aluminum with phosphorus, gallium with arsenic. Okay, so these are group 13 elements and these are group 15 elements. Similarly, we can dope the transition elements also, which have lesser conductivity like cadmium and mercury. Okay, so cadmium and mercury belong to group 12 of B block, and they can be doped with group 16 elements like sulfur, selenium and tellurium. Okay, so these are the other examples, right? Semiconductors have different applications. The first one is rectifiers. They are used in rectifiers. Rectifier is a diode which converts alternate current to direct current. So it converts AC to DC, and it is a diode which contains N type and P type zones separated by a junction. So this is NP junction. Okay, so basically a rectifier is a diode, okay, which converts alternate current to direct current. Okay, the next one is photovoltaic cell. Photovoltaic cell is a device which converts light energy into electrical energy, right? For that also a diode is used like this, and this junction of the diode is irradiated with light. Okay, so that what happens, some of the bonds will be broken and the electrons are released. Okay, so that the conductivity of the semiconductor is increased. Okay, so a photovoltaic cell converts light energy into electrical energy. The third application is in transistors. Semiconductors are used in transistors also. A transistor is basically used to increase the signal or amplify the signal or a sound, right? So it is used in different devices like radio and a television, or even in computer, right? So these transistors contain semiconductors doped with electron rich as well as electron deficient dopants simultaneously. So usually they contain three zones like this. Okay, either two positive zones separated by a negative zone, or two negative zones separated by a positive zone. So that means the semiconductor is simultaneously doped with electron rich as well as electron deficient dopants. Okay, so that the positive and negative zones are created but separately, right? In the beginning of my lecture, I asked you few questions. Let us see the answers. First question, what is the effect of temperature on conductors and semiconductors? When temperature is increased, the conductivity of conductors will be decreased. That is due to increase in resistance. The conductivity of semiconductors will be increased because more number of electrons jump from valence band to conduction band. Second question, how a gas lighter works? Gas lighter contains piezoelectric crystals. When pressure is applied, electric charge is developed. When it is discharged, a spark is produced which ignites the fuel. So, a gas lighter generates electricity due to the presence of piezoelectric crystals. Third question, what is the substance present in photovoltaic cells? Photovoltaic cells contain amorphous silica. A photovoltaic cell converts light energy into electrical energy. It contains amorphous silica. These are the answers of the questions.